Hello out there in YouTube land. I want to do a quick comparison between a book and a TV show, which the book is based on. I know a little while ago I did I don't want to say unboxing, but a review of the show of Leviathan Wakes. It is the book upon which The Expanse is based upon. The Expanse is now showing on Sci-Fi Channel, and it's about damn time to getting back to good sci-fi as opposed to Sharknado and Piranha vs. Megatron and whatever crap they've been showing lately. But the shows and books, or shows that are based on books, usually aren't as good as the books, and or they deviate completely from the books. True Blood, each season was supposed to be based on a book. The first one was very close and done well. The second season strayed. Third season strayed even further. By the time the series was over, you wouldn't even recognize it according to the books. I haven't read any of the Game of Thrones books yet, so I don't know how much they stray. But I saw that The Expanse was based on this book, and I wanted to give it a shot. In the show, you have two central characters. You have a cop named Miller, who was stationed on an asteroid in the asteroid belt, and then you have a guy named Holden, who was the XO on an ice hopper that goes from the outer solar system, or grabs little asteroids and brings them in for ice. The book is the same. It's set a few hundred years in the future, where man has moved out into the solar system. A type of drive has allowed that to happen. It's called the Epstein drive. And so they colonized the whole solar system. There's Earth and Mars, which are the two power planets in the system. Then you have the belt where the mining and moons and the outer gas giants. Okay, and then the TV show, you have those two characters, and then you also have some UN figures who run in the government back on Earth. The book doesn't have those at all. But the basic plot of both the book and the show is there is a ship called the Scopuli, which has a young girl on it, and something bad happens to it. You have the ship, which is, I can't remember the full name of it. The last name is, they refer to it as the Cant, on which Jim Holden is the XO one. It's an ice hopper, and they respond to a distress call sent from the Scopuli. They go to the ship, they find it's just been wiped out. Because the technology in the book and in the TV show is very realistic. They don't have any faster than light travel and stuff like that. And trouble ensues when they get there. Then you have Detective Miller, who is a part of the security force / cops on an asteroid out in the belt. He is assigned by his superiors as an extra off-the-books job, as a favor for a very, very rich man back on Earth, to find his daughter, who happened to be on the ship that was destroyed. And the destruction of that ship could lead to a war between Earth and Mars. The premise is the same on both books and the show. Now, there might be a couple of minor spoilers here if you haven't watched the show or read the books. The book, the ship, Holden ship, responds to the distress call. Not a problem. They go out there, find it destroyed, and then they have to deal with the repercussions of some of the actions of the crew. The Kent gets destroyed by pirates, they say. On the show, for some reason, they decide to ignore the distress call, and Holden forces the distress call to be answered, which unfolds a chain of unfortunate events, to use a book title. Then you have Miller, who is dealing with trying to find the girl while doing where she went. He's dealing with crime on the asteroid, an organization called the OPA, which is the Outer Planets Alliance, who are trying to get rid of the chokehold of the big two major planets. And there's all the political intrigue. And of course, these stories are eventually going to merge, especially since Holden's dealing with her ship. Miller's looking for her and her ship. They're eventually going to merge. The difference is, so far, as you can see, I'm only the book in about 120 pages in on a 560-page book. The difference is there's all these machinations going on the show. There's all these machinations going on back on Earth with the UN leadership trying to do all its subtle political power plays and looking into it. And so far, there's none of it in the book. And then it switches chapter. One chapter is Miller, the next is Holden, the next is Miller, the next is Holden, and it just kind of goes on and introduces all the characters. I'm a tad behind the series in the book. There's only been 7 shows, 2 are left. And I'm only, so I haven't got anywhere near as far as the show. But 99% of the time, I am one who thinks that the books are better than the show. In this case, it's kind of close because they're different enough that it keeps your interest. There's other things going on in the show than going on in the book. But I do think that the book is a tad bit better because the book has the focus on just the two characters, the background, all the different, more of the feel of it. Gets into a little bit more of the background. The show has to gloss over certain stuff because there's no way to integrate it, integrate some of the background into it without having people say, well, as you know, it's such and such, which would be horrible. But the book is very good, much more colorful and detailed. Well, the show is just, it's spectacular looking. The special effects are incredible. As with the book, the technology is incredibly realistic. Lasers, it's just, they have to, technology is as it should be. But given my brothers, I will take the book. As you can see, I've got my little Batman bookmark. I'll take the book over the show, but I like the show enough that I've already pre-ordered the Blu-ray when it comes out. I pre-ordered it for when it comes out. So, book first, TV show a very close second. And if you haven't watched it, or if you haven't watched the show, watch it. Log on to sci-fi.com and you can watch the back issues or the back episodes on the website. So give it a view and pick up the book. All right, like and subscribe. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later.